reason I'm like this, bro.
Made in motion here. Pass play on 1st and 10.
What's your name? Iowa. Iowa, how old are you?
Play didn't develop like he needed. He goes out behind the line.
I'm a WASH instructor.
One's clocked in, 2nd down now.
Name and age and why you ended up hopping?
Yeah, Prince 33, and you look like a black Barbie doll.
Pass play now.
I ain't got enough money to afford you.
But it's tipped away and incomplete. Good positioning to make a play on it. That forces 3rd down.
I'm just going to say maybe not the guy you want to pick on in coverage of this particular series. Gets a hand on that throw and knocks it time. Well, he can get 2 hands on it and take it the other way.
Got the hook up to Weaver.
What's your name?
Down to the red zone before his back. Only need the length of the football. It's 4th and inches. They're going for it on his option play left. And that short gain is enough. Bird set it down. They'll come up 1st and 10. Now looking to throw. Cut near the goal line. Touchdown, Arizona. They'll try the point after. The point after splits the uprights. Cardinals cut the lead. That lead trimmed just a bit. Down to 10 points now as the kick is up and away. Returning in from the 16. Tackle made as the return gets it out to the 32. They're out and set. 1st and 10. Give now to the running back. Defense gets there to force a small. A very active quarter for us. Plenty of points in that frame as we reach the end of 3. It's the Commanders' ball. A chance at a win if they can hang on to their lead through the 4th. All right, here we go. 2nd down. Right up the gut. It's been a decent gain before being brought down. Gain of 4 for them. That sets up 3rd and 7.
Couple and happy getting time for output on one plays. It's a sign that there's a good push up front and the quarterback is seeing the lanes.
One's complete right side. And the 13 on that play. And the Commanders will have a 1st. This game has already been a good one for him, Brock. And hey, there's still time he could add on even more.
And you just feel his aggressive mindset all game. There's time left. He's going to want to keep on firing and turn a good performance to a great one. And this is why Scott losing speed. Once he senses the pressure, he's getting rid of that ball. It takes a player who can close, get to him before it's released. And that sure altered the throw.
That's completed right side. This one's worked down to the 33 before being stopped.
Reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on. I need to hug my babies. Oh, girl, looking for the broccoli. I keep a horn on me.
Short pass caught by his tight end.
Get off. I get off.
Check the field and sets him up with 1st and goal.
Utilize their personnel. They know where they wanted them. They want to come right in space where you can make that initial play comfortably.
Connor, go get it. Let's go. That NFL game. He turned that down some good. It's been a while, but we are here for the 2029 season, week 14. This is Army Navy week. This is not a big week of college football. Army Navy 3-8 Army versus 1-10 Navy. The president will be at this game though. It's 2029. Who's our president? I'm gonna venture out there and say We got the first female president of our lifetime. And I think it's Jasmine Crockett from Texas. Yep. Anyway, it's a lot of football that happened this whole season of the 2029 season. A lot of movement went around. A lot of new coaches in the building. We got a little bit of everything. This is a recruit week, so make sure you take care of that. Get to your recruiting done because in another 27 minutes, this league will be advancing to the following week, which is the championship weeks. But let's get into what's been going on throughout the entire season. There's a lot of big time stories. The Arizona Wildcat coach was so dominant in the Big 12 that he got his shot in Hollywood to the point where USC came and got him and bought out his contract and told him that he would be the second highest paid college coach in college football in 2029. And he took his services there, and he was on record saying that, Big Ten, the USC program, the prestige of the program, and then recruiting is big time move on why they made the move. And not forget the money. The money's always the money. So we've seen a lot of dynamic movements going around the entire country of the landscape of college football. So let's get to the CFP top 25 right now in the country, and let's see what we looking like. Now, look, the top 12 on here is not the top 12 that will be on the playoff list because there's always the FCS team, a group of 5 team that will always have an opportunity to play in the playoffs. With that being said, let's take a look at our top 25. The number 1 team in the nation right now is the Oregon Ducks, and Coach Guru has his Oregon Ducks team 12-0 with an ass whooping to Penn State 84-0. Alabama, I knew they would slide up after beating number 6 ranked Texas. I knew they would slide into 1 or 2, being one of 4 undefeated football teams in the country right now. But Alabama, and they're making waves right now because not only are they winning, they're winning big, and they're beating some big time ranked programs by big scores, right? 70-38 over the number 11 at the time, the number 6 Texas Longhorns, who probably has one of the fastest teams in the world, lost to this Alabama team 70-38. They're number 2, and they're trending up right now. And I'm quite sure they got first place votes all over the place from the media and the coaches poll. You give a good coach a better football program, more resources, more money for NIL, and let's call it what it is, better talent, and you get to see what it looks like being in the Big Ten. And as that coach was in the Big 12, dominating the Big 12, winning championship after championship in that conference, the Big 12 conference is not allowing him to grow in the sense of, being one of those teams spoke about like they were a blue blood program. But now he's at a blue blood program, and as you can see, 12-0, beat their rivals 77-28, and they're the number 3 team in the nation right now. Now, Syracuse hasn't done anything but win football games, right? Regular season, they beat the defending national champions, Clemson Tigers, and yet they fall to 4 right now after beating Pittsburgh 84-20. ACC team has some respect, and when it comes down to the Power 4 conferences, they definitely got respect. But the respect of the ACC isn't as strong as it was, as it been over the last 4 or 5 seasons, because of the Miami and North Carolina State having down seasons this year. Now, that's the 4 undefeated teams. And all 4 of these teams will be answering questions in their conference championship games. But when you get to number 5, you're looking at the Georgia Bulldogs, 68-7 over their rivals, Georgia Tech. They're sitting at number 5 with 1 loss on the year right now. Their only losses to the team that's in front of them, and that's Syracuse Orangemen. Now, this Georgia Bulldog team has been playing really good football. They got an outstanding freshman running back that's doing really well for this football team right now. And they actually are playing some of the best football they've played over the last few years right now. Georgia is trying to bring themselves back into the realm of respect us. We are the Bulldogs. and we are the blue blood program that we've been in the past. Sitting at 5 right now, and they will be matched up in the SEC Conference Championship game against the Alabama team that they haven't beaten in the 5 seasons. The number 6 team, and I called this before advance, that the Gators will go to number 6 because they beat Florida State. Now, here's the question, and this is why the Big 12 has been, an uproar about why they not getting respect as a Power 4 conference. Florida State was the number 5 team in the nation, number 6 team in the nation, after their only loss was week 1 to the Colorado Buffaloes. But yet they were still ranked in front of the Colorado Buffaloes because of strength of schedule, I'm assuming. And they were the number 6 team in the nation, which Florida and Florida State rival game happened, and Florida took care of business 84-31, dropping them to number 13. But Florida jumps up at 11-1, their only losses being to the Georgia Bulldogs team right in front of them. And Colorado goes from 8 and moves back up to 7. And that was the controversial. But now when you see it play itself out, you're looking at when you go from the Power 4 conference and you talk about the best conferences in the Power 4, you start to see it with the Big 10, the SEC, and the ACC. You start to see it with the Big 12 being the number 4 team conference in that Big 4 situation. But Colorado sitting at number 7 after being ranked 8 last week. So Florida goes from 10 to 6. They go up 4 spots. Colorado moves back up 1 spot. And our 10-2 Clemson national title Clemson Tigers go from 9 to 8 right now. And teams that benefited from, Florida State losing, that was in the top 10, and Texas losing in the top 10 are Oklahoma 10-2, and they'll be sitting idle, and they're in the most comfortable spot that they could be in because they don't have to play in the SEC championship game. And the winner or loser of that game, depending on who it is, right? Georgia with 1 loss, Alabama with no losses, could also keep them in the playoff hunt, right? Like, I don't think they can do anything that will hurt them being in the playoffs. So we'll talk about that when I get to it. Ohio State beating Michigan, number 13 Michigan, that moves them up 2 spots to number 10. So that gives them a complete playoff berth. Now, the controversy goes between the 16 that falls to 11 and the Texas Longhorns, and this Baylor football program who moved from 16 to 12 after a 34-17 win over the Houston Cougars. Because Baylor's sitting at 12, you would think, all right, we got our top 12 teams in the playoffs, but you can't leave out the Group of 5 school. And as of right now, the Group of 5 school that's holding the most weight is the Toledo Rockets at 14. So Florida State falls from 7 to 13. Baylor moves up from 16 to 12, and the Toledo goes from 18 to 14. And then we round off our top 25 as Arkansas sitting at 9-3 at 15. San Jose State goes to 16 from 20. LSU goes from 21 to 17. South Alabama goes from 22 to 18. UTEP 25 to 19. Buffalo goes from 23 to 20. Rice goes from 24 to 21. Kentucky wasn't ranked. They are ranked now after losing their 4th game. They are ranked now, be back in the top 25 at 22. East Carolina at 23. Auburn at 24. And Tulane has fell from 17 to 25 after losing to Charlotte 41-21. But they still remain in the top 25. Now, without these championship games being played, if you take a look at the college football bracket right now and how the voters got it right now, South Alabama is the 12th spot right now. They will be matched up if the playoffs was to start today. USC at 12-0 will have that sweet spot, the 5 spot, right? The 5 seed. When you in the 5 seed, that's the sweet spot, right? But USC and Oregon will play each other. Now, what happens to the loser? Neither one of these guys will be out of the playoffs. 1 loss USC or a 1 loss Oregon team will still be in the college football playoffs. All right? Then they're not in no way, shape, or form going to be affected by a conference championship loss. All right? It will just switch who's going to be the number 1 team, maybe the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed The winner will either be one, two, three, or four, right? With a bye sitting in the quarterfinal. But the loser will go into the first round, and 9 out of 10 still get a home game. When you look at the 9 versus 8 matchup, as you can see it, Clemson is sitting at 9. They'll go on a road to the Florida Gators if the Florida Gators don't win the Big 12 championship in that Colorado matchup. If they beat Colorado, they'll go take the third seed. And will Colorado remain in the playoffs? That will be the big question, right? Because once you start getting to the 7th ranked team in the nation, the 6th ranked team in the nation, 8th ranked teams in the nation, those that are playing in the championship games, a loss is vital. They have to win to stay in. You're looking at the 10th seed overall in the country, but the 11th seed in the playoff slot. Right now, they'll be lined up against the number 4 ranked team in the nation, which is the number 16 in the playoffs, and that's Syracuse and Ohio State, 6 versus 11. However, Syracuse will be playing Florida State for for the conference, the ACC conference championship game, and that winner will remain in the quarterfinals. Now, the difference between that is if Syracuse beats Florida State in the quarterfinals, them being an undefeated team, a top 4 team in the nation, I don't think they will sit in the 4th seed. I think that will move a team like Colorado to the 4th spot or Florida to the 4th spot because Alabama, Oregon, and Syracuse will be undefeated, or Alabama, USC, and Syracuse will be undefeated.
I have to run back up at the shop, right? My mom lost my dad's necklace.
All right.
His gold team.
Oh shit.
But somebody turned one in, but I don't know if it's it.
All right.
So I have to go run up there real fast.
All right.
Did you buy me a lighter?
Yeah.
Is that it?
There's one of them.
Where's the other one?
I don't worry about the other one.
That's my ass.
I'm in the middle of the show. You asking me about a lighter right now. Oregon, again, undefeated, right? So when you look at the quarterfinal seedings right now, right? If Georgia can somehow upset Alabama, same thing, Florida State. Only way Florida State is going to stay in these playoffs if they beat Oregon, right? Again, USC and Oregon if they beat Syracuse. Oregon and USC are safe. A win or a loss, dude, only can just change positions, right? It's not going to affect them for being inside the playoffs 2029, right? But again, Syracuse sitting at that 6th seed right now. They beat Florida State. They go into the quarterfinals, and the seeding will change. We don't know if they'll be. We know they won't be 4 with a 1-loss team in the quarterfinals, right? Out of the 4 Big 12, out of the Power 4 conferences, you're looking at, everybody still undefeated that's in the quarterfinal right now, except for Florida State and Colorado. But there's an undefeated Syracuse team that will be playing that Florida State team, which could lead to them being in the quarterfinals as another undefeated team. So let's just say Syracuse, Oregon, Alabama are winners in their conference championship games. Then those 3 teams are undefeated, so the seeding will change towards them. Or let's say USC, Syracuse, and Alabama are undefeated after the conference championship games. The seedings will change right now. So you're looking at Oklahoma, who has the 10th spot right now, sitting at number 9. They should be safe because there's no game for them to play. Same thing with Ohio State. Same thing with Clemson. These teams don't have a game to play in the conference championship game, so they're just waiting for what's going to happen in front of them, right? Only thing that can really affect Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma is one of these undefeated teams losing. So again, it's vital. Georgia is at number 7. They're playing Oklahoma. That game will be played on Georgia's campus. Syracuse against Ohio State. That game will be at Syracuse campus. And Florida versus Clemson will be played in Gainesville on Florida's field. Same thing. USC going to Hollywood to play. Have to take on South Alabama, which is the Group of 5 school. So that's what the playoff tree look like. But again, we have conference championship games we have to get to. All right. So this is what the championship matchups is looking like across the nation. You're gonna have Liberty versus UTEP in the Conference USA championship game. That game will be played on UTEP's campus. Now, could that game, a win for UTEP, could that put them in the college football playoffs? Toledo and Buffalo will be matching up in the MAC championship game. Florida and Colorado will be matching up in Arlington, Texas, in the Big 12 matchup. That's going to be a big game. Much anticipated. Florida, in their second season in the Big 12, is now already in a championship game. Appalachian State and South Alabama. As of right now, South Alabama has the playoff spot for the Group of Five. My question is, a loss will knock them out and put UTEP, Buffalo, anybody that wins in that in the Group of Five championship matchups will determine. So the loser is out for sure. All right, but right now South Alabama has that spot. They go up against Appalachian State, a 10-2 team, 6-2 in conference play. Georgia and Alabama, the matchup. Question: did Georgia and Alabama play in the regular season this year? Nope, they didn't match up this year. Nope, no matchup between those guys this year. All right, so it's gonna be the first matchup this year versus Alabama and Georgia. We'll get to that game in a second. All right, fellas, if you are tuned in and you are at homecoming, you literally have 10 minutes to get your recruiting done before we advance the week to the conference championship week games. All right, so Georgia and Alabama, 5 versus 2. That's going to be a big time game. Now, the question would be, does Georgia, with a loss, knock them out of the playoffs? At the 5 seed, I'm not sure, but it all depends on what happens uh, with the one-loss teams that's playing their conference championship games, preferably Florida Gators and the Colorado Buffaloes. Tulane and East Carolina are matching up 10-2, 7-1 in conference play, 9-3, 8-0 in conference play. They'll be matching up in Greensville, North Carolina. And then San Jose State will go up against Colorado State. State of Colorado has been producing some really good football from both the Colorado State Rams and the Buffaloes, but 9-3, 7-1 in conference play. San Jose State being ranked 16. A win for them, they might get into because they're going to be the highest seed, right? 19 is UTEP, 14 Toledo, 20. Hold up, though. Why the Toledo Rockets have the playoff spot right now over South Alabama? I'm confused. Syracuse, the 4th seed, going up against the 13th seed, Florida State. Florida has to win. Florida State have to win to be in. And then the matchup between 3 versus 1, USC and Oregon, giving Coach Antonio, the new coach for the USC Trojans, their first Big Ten matchup. As soon as he gets over there as a coach, he takes his USC team straight to the championship. This guy is known for playing the championships. He's actually 4 championships, won in the Big 12. Can he continue his run of winning conference championships? One of the things that got him hired to USC was to be able to get them over the hump to win the conference championship and take down their nemesis, the Oregon Ducks. So as you can see, USC and Oregon will be matched up in the Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. Alabama and Georgia will be playing in Atlanta, Georgia. Colorado and Florida State will be in Arlington, Texas, in Jerry's World. And then the ACC championship will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. Conference standings, we're going to talk about those teams that are ranked in these conferences. So after the regular season concludes, you have Florida State 13, Syracuse 4, Clemson 8, And then there's no more no more ranked teams in the top 25 in the ACC. When you get to the Big 12, you're looking at Colorado at 7, Florida at 6, Arizona's knocked out of the top 25, but Baylor sitting at 12. So 3 teams in the Big 12 are in the top 25. 3 teams in the ACC. When you get to the Big 10, just 3 teams over here are ranked. You're looking at Oregon, USC, and Ohio State. And then the SEC, you have number 2 ranked Alabama, Georgia number 5, Texas is 11, 9 is Oklahoma, 15 is Arkansas. We know who the big dogs are. Kentucky goes to 22, and LSU is at 17. Not just that, Auburn is sitting at 24. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams in the SEC are in the top 25 in college football, giving them the power conference of all power conferences. All right, when it comes down to your award list, let's talk about, as the season starts to conclude, who's in the running for player of the year. And LaRon Tongues, the defensive end, junior, red shirt, 6'6", 265, Hercules, California, for the Oregon Ducks. He's leading the list right now as the player of the year. Your top 5 is Hanif Anderson, the running back for Syracuse, Camden, New Jersey, Amani Fabaluji, another defensive end for Oregon. The Ducks got 2 really good D ends, first round type talents coming off the edge. CJ Sadler Jr., the true freshman for Colorado, is number 4 on this list, and they're on Do It All. Rashad Baker, the wide receiver who's in his sophomore year as a true freshman. He went crazy last year for Syracuse. It rounds off your top 5 player of the year. And then at 6 is Moreau for Florida. Alabama's Bryce Underwood. Walt Emil, who's a program changer, right? This is going to be one of the most sought after NFL talents that's coming out. Every team is high on him. He might even be the best player coming out in this year's draft. Matt Miles, the middle linebacker for Oregon, redshirt freshman, pitting on Forest City, 6'2", 231 pounds. London Merritt, the redshirt junior edge rusher, modern day. London Merritt coming around. Alabama's Jadarius Ramsey, right outside linebacker, and then Tito Toncho for Oklahoma, the wide receiver, 6 foot, 185 pound deep threat. Head coach of the year, you're looking at AI Todd. Let's go, Al Todd. He goes from Arizona and then he goes to USC, and right now he is the coach of the year. Coach Brown is back at it again. Bully Murray for Alabama. And then you come down to Doug Williams, Oregon, Juice McBreezy, Georgia, and Kamish Hitta, Florida Gators, round off your user coaches as coach of the year. Best quarterbacks in the nation right now. You're looking at Bryce Underwood. He leaves LSU, goes to Alabama, and he is having an outstanding redshirt senior year. Jaden O'Neal takes over for Juju Lewis, the number 1 pick in last year's draft. And Jaden O'Neal, as the first-time starter in his redshirt sophomore year, is the number 2 quarterback on the best quarterback list this year. Bam Gore-Reed, a true freshman out of Camden, New Jersey, is balling out for our Syracuse Orangemen, and Davion Childs, who's a true sophomore, who's really going crazy for Texas as well. How about Khalil Baggett, USC's redshirt sophomore at quarterback? If you notice the tendencies of all these quarterbacks, they all got the scramble tendencies. Having a dual threat quarterback makes the world. They're in the top 5, but then you got Rodney Casper in his true sophomore year, Charlie Ward in his true sophomore year. Charlie Ward Jr. from Florida State had an outstanding season. Greg Falk, his first year starting as a junior for the North Carolina Wolfpacks. Jim Burrow, Joey Burrow's brother, Tyler Lincoln for Baylor, Chauncey Eddy for Georgia, and Greg Slayton for the Clemson Tigers, round off your top 12. Defensive player of the year, LaRon Tongues, we talked about him, Imani for Belugi, both Oregon Ducks. Then you got Tim Moreau, Florida, Walt Emil, Syracuse, London Merritt, Colorado, that's your top 5. Then it's Matt Miles, the redshirt freshman at linebacker, middle linebacker, Darius Ramsey, outside linebacker for Alabama. You're looking at Christian Hudson, the other DN for Colorado, swinging around that corner as well. Matt Crosby, the left end for the Alabama Crimson Tide, Max Crosby's younger brother. You're looking at Clarence Cox, the cornerback for Oregon. Tommy Horner, left end for Georgia, and then NOBB, Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, Colorado. Listen, Clarence Cox in the slot for Oregon is doing it all, right? He can do it all. Tackle for losses, sack on quarterbacks, and then he shuts down your slot receiver as well. So he's balling out right now, holding down the number one spot. You look at Oregon when they come down to defensive backs. Alabama, Oregon dominates this category. Earl Wilbur, the corner for Alabama, senior as well. Then junior safety, strong safety Stanley Humphreys for the Alabama Crimson Tide. James Ingram, cornerback, another slot corner, 6'3", 197, big time player. He's sophomore too, redshirt sophomore for the Oregon Ducks, and then Andres Burkowski, Burkowski, strong safety in his redshirt sophomore year as well. All right, to round off the top 12, you got Timot Raji, Texas, Brent English, Colorado, Rodney Powers, Oregon, Moss Caps, Oregon, Jeremiah Harris, Texas, and then you got Dom Coker, Florida, and Mo Hayden for Florida. Best running backs in the country right now, the top three, Hanif Anderson, Romeo Scales, and it's cool because you see Al Todd brings his culture to the USC Trojans. One thing he did well was have running backs really playing really well for him, and he did the exact same thing over there for the Trojans with Romeo Scales and Ronnie Dumford being on this list. Rodney Flanagan and his true freshman, he's a dog, balling out for the Oregon Ducks as a true freshman, and then Keelan Strong, the 6'4", 203-pound receiving running back freshman as well for the Georgia Bulldogs, is having his way right now. So we got two freshmen in the top five. Ronnie Dumford, backup running back, but he's the number two. I'm not going to call him a backup. They got two running backs that they can get busy with, and he's a redshirt junior. Then you round off your top 12. Justin Hillis, Nate Fama Meta, Debo Menace for the Florida Gators dog. Celeste Fayalo, Oklahoma, Donnie Henry, Ohio State, Alexander Sterling, Clemson, and the power back Najee Israel for the Colorado Buffaloes. Best receivers, C.J. Sandler, the true freshman, holding down Rashad Baker on this list at number 2. Looking at Tito Toncho, the redshirt senior for Oklahoma at the 3 spot, and then Peter Ward Jr. for the Florida State Seminoles, like father, like son. Top 4, Jalen Cunningham goes from a true freshman. Him and Rashad Baker were the best freshman receivers in the country last year, and they followed it up with great sophomore years as well. And Jalen Cunningham is a dog for the Texas Longhorns. Alabama's Brandon Murray comes in as a true freshman, and you got between him and C.J. Sandler Jr., who's going crazy as freshmen for their two teams respectively. They're going to be the future of the wide receiver room in college football going forward. Elijah Boyce, redshirt senior, number 7 on this list. Quentin Gibson, Q for 6, Colorado Slot Machine Jr. is playing at number 8. Doug DeMarco for Kentucky, true sophomore. Bernie Dillard, Penn State. Jakar Chase for Ohio State, and Trey Null for Oklahoma. 2 receivers from Oklahoma on this top 12 list. The Lombardi Award. This award is presented to the Defensive Lineman of the Year, LaRon Tongues, Amani Fuburuji, Walt Emil, London Merritt, Matt Crosby, Christian Hudson, Colorado, Tommy Horner, Georgia, Channing Bethel, USC, Brandon Ali, Oregon, Taj Jerry, USC, senior Sean Johns, Syracuse, and then Benjamin Regis, redshirt freshman, Oregon. You got some mix of upperclassmen and some young guys on this list as well. As we go to the senior, best quarterback award goes to the senior quarterback. Right now, the users that have senior quarterbacks under their, taking their snaps are Bryce Underwood, Alabama, Jim Burrow, Ohio State, and Greg Slayton, Clemson. Best defensive end, same thing, LaRon Tongues, Oregon, and Amani Fabuluji, Oregon as well. Walton Mills, Syracuse, London Merritt, Christian Hudson rounds off the top five. Then it's same names, right? Matt Crosby, Tommy Horner, Channing Bethel, Brandon Ali, Sean Johns, Benjamin Regis, and Terrell Pope enters that list on best defensive ends. Best interior O lineman, Taylor Cobb, Beller, Nick Kloss, Arkansas, Alfonso Jewell, NC State, top three, and then Cullen McCain, Temple, and Chauncey Gooden, Colorado rounds off your top five. Keelan James, Oregon. You got USC's Glenn Calamete. Go down to Trent Barte at 9 for Arkansas, and then Texas's Mano Catapano at 11. Tight ends in the league right now. Matthias Knox has been winning this tight end award every year so far, but Dallas Westbrook as well has been emerging as our redshirt sophomore. And then you got Jeremiah Lovelace, true sophomore for Oregon. Jamar Trainer, true sophomore for Arkansas, rounds off your top four. And then James Gee, the senior tight end for the UCLA Bruins. Kurt Castanzo, Clemson. You got Jeff Hay, LSU, Rob Cantrell, Florida State, and then you come down to Arizona, Sean Pitts as the number 12 best tight end on the list. Broyles Award, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, Ben Cleveland, Oregon, Ryan Rich, and Brian Ramsey, ONDC for USC. Syracuse's OC Channing Butler, their defensive coordinator, Darrell Turner, Chris Johnson, the DC for Alabama, offensive coordinator Chris Hutster for Oregon, and then come down to Aaron Tolbert, the OC for Alabama. Best linebackers right now, Tim Moreau from Florida Gators, Matt Miles, the young freshman, Jadarius Ramsey, Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, and OBB for Colorado, Carlos Manuel, the monster in the middle for Alabama, and then you're looking at Jason Davenport, sophomore, another middle linebacker, dog. Turk McBride, putting in work for Syracuse as well, number 7. Kiki Moffitt, Kentucky. Joe Zakheji, Clemson. Marcus Sandy, Kentucky. Tyler Atkins, the Georgia Freak, number 1 linebacker in the 2026 class for Colorado. And then Clark Kent, don't let him go in that phone booth and turn into Superman. As you can see, the redshirt freshman is a monster. Best centers in around the country right now, Syracuse is Jamal Westbrook. Todd's Choice for LSU. You come down to Bobby Willis for Georgia. Also Florida's Roderick Gano. Jermaine Racky for Tennessee. And they go your matchups there. Lou Grosses, anybody's kickers on her. Beller's kickers on her. Punters. You're looking at Ohio State's Mafu Lord. Mitch Goody, Arizona, Nick Smith. And then come down to UCF and Avery Lepp. Yeah, it's in the refrigerator. It's these, yeah. Your top 12 returners around the country, Ricky Bobby Jr. from Alabama, true freshman. David Bryant, Oregon. Neil Snell, Clemson. Alejandro Gamez, Texas. Riel Small, Florida Gators. Tavada Smoker, USC. Doug DeMarco, Kentucky. Major Cloud, Georgia. Then you come down to Miami and Luvu, Miami's wide receiver junior. Dwayne Landers for the Florida State Gators. And then Gil Wiley for the Baylor Bearcats. And that's your awards list. Let's talk about the top 5 Heisman guys. Defensive end, LaRon Tongues. Now, has not been, this is not unfamiliar territory. We did have a defensive end win a Heisman. Hanif Anderson, only long running back on this list. Amani Fabuji, also defensive end for Oregon. Then Rashad Baker, the playmaker for Syracuse at wide receiver. And CJ Sadler Jr. steps into that top 5 as a true freshman. The dual threat, right? He's the next Travis Hunter. He can play wide receiver and corner. Deion said if he dominates that wide receiver, he will get the opportunity to play cornerback for the Colorado Buffaloes. So that's your Heisman race right now. And I'm going to step into the last conversation we're going to have before we advance. In fact, it's time to advance, so let's get that taken care of now. You know what? We'll do that after I do the stats. Let's take a walk around the country. All right, your passing leaders right now. How about Jaden O'Neal leads the nation with 5,767 passing yards. Bryce Underwood, 5,486. Bam Goree, 5,164. Charlie Ward Jr., 5,038. Devion Childs, 4,908. Alejandro Rudder, Oklahoma, 4846. Rodney Casper, 4671. You got Khalil Badgett, 4337. And Jim Burrow, 4,151. Slayton comes in at 3,926. Touchdowns on the year right now. 77 for O'Neal, Bam Goree 73, Rudder 67, tied with Rodney Casper, and Bryce Underwood 66, Charlie Ward 61, Childs with 51, 50 for Badgett, and Burrow 47, Slayton 46. Who got the most carries around the country? Anif Anderson with 259. Right behind him is Tommy Turbin for Michigan. Follow for 223. Lau 221. Scales 211. Yoder 211 as well. But let's talk about yards. We do got a 2,400 back right now. Anif Anderson is close to breaking the national rushing record, 2,445 in a single season. How about Khalil Strong, the true freshman for Georgia, goes over the 2,000-yard mark with 2021. Romeo Scales, 1676, and Falo, 1575 for Oklahoma. Rodney Flanagan, the other true freshman, is balling out, 1570. And then the power back for Colorado, Najee Israel with 1444. Debo Menace, Big 12, Florida Gators, 1387. And Felix Nene, 1254 for the Wolfpacks. And then right away, another 125 carries, but 1237, 9 yards, almost 10 yards to carry. Ronnie Bloomford for the USC Trojans, 1237. Most touchdowns right now, 37, Hanif Anderson, Scales, and Dumar. Both of these guys, Dumar and Scales, 26 and 24 touchdowns, 9.9 and 7.9 yards per, respectively. Really good. This might be the best. It's not might be. It's the best tandem in the country when it comes down to 1-2 punches. Keelan Strong, 22 touchdowns. Debo Menace with 18 for Meta, 18. Sterling for Alexander Sterling for the Clemson Tigers with 17 rushing touchdowns. And you come down to Falo and Flanagan with 15 apiece, and then the next user will be Najee Israel, and then Deion Henry with 14 touchdowns apiece. Malik Red, backup running back for Colorado, with 13 rushing touchdowns as well. In the receiving department, most catches on the year right now, C.J. Sadler with 128, Brandon Murray with 116. How about Tito Toncho, 109, and then Rashad Baker with 101. You got a couple of more receivers that's on their way. I think, within the next game or so, Cunningham will be over 100 catches, and so will Quentin Gibson be over 100 catches as well. Now, as far as yards go, Peter Ward Jr. leads the entire nation with 2,536. C.J. Sadler Jr. with 2,252. Rashad Baker with 2,200. Toncho, 2,156. We got 4 receivers that went over the 2,000-yard mark. Cunningham with 1,882. How about Elijah Boyce for Oregon with 1,869. Brandon Murray, 116, but 1,853. Quentin Gibson, Colorado, 96 catches and 1,660, giving them 2,000-yard receivers. DeMarco from Kentucky with 1,549. How about Tavita Smoker? Not only has the apartment returner, kick returner, but he also has 57 catches, 1,537. J.Car Chase, 1,411 for Ohio State. Tony Montana, 58 catches, 1,365. Sidney Neal, Texas, brings in another one, 49, 1,324. Bernard Dillard. You're looking at Mike Costanzo, 52 and 1252. Trey Nall, Oklahoma. Let's look at the touchdown makers. 40 for C.J. Sadler, 38 for Rashad Bake, 30 for Toncho. Peter Ward with 25, tied with Boyce. Brandon Murray with 23, Quentin Gibson with 23. Dwayne Landers, Florida State with 19. DeMarco for Kentucky, 19. Neal for Texas with 19. How about Huntley, Oklahoma, 18. Nall with Oklahoma with 18. And then Cunningham, 18. And then there's Ricky Bobby Jr., 17. And Jakar Chase, 17 as well. Costanzo with 16. Freaky Friday, 16. Start looking at Beller, Amari Deli, 16 touchdowns. Smoker with 15. Rada, Ezekiel Rada for Arkansas is on this list. Frederick Corbin, as you go down, touchdown makers right now. And on the defensive side of things, you got to look at it a little different when you look at defense. Because you're going to have to go throughout the country, right? But Carlos Manuel once again leads the league in tackles with 117. Let's just make sure that's true. 80, Big 12, 104, Big 10, 111, and the SEC, 117. Yes, sir. All right, with tackle for losses, we're going to go through the country and look at the ACC first. 43 from Emil, Turk McBride, 32. Sean Johns with 26 as well. Clemson's Zagacki, or Zagajel, what I used to say his last name, let's call him J-Zack. 22 of them things, and then Terrell Pope with 22 as well. Sean Cookus, it was the chain, that's what's up. As you can see, a whole bunch of ACC play from Clemson right now. Big Patrick Falk with 18 of them things as well. All right, let's look at the Big 12 and look at tackle for loss. You're looking at 45 from London Merritt, 41 from the right outside linebacker, Tim Moreau. How about Christian Hudson with 38, and OBB, 35 from the middle linebacker spot. Atkinson with 26, and then you're looking at Chijoki Nwankwo, the brother of the block bully. So this is the trench bully. Looking at there, Byron Fowler with 19. Darren Baguette, number 18. He got 18. Joe Runa, Arizona with 18, and then 16 for Clark Kent. Steven Schott with 16 of them things. So you're seeing a little bit of domination from the Big 12, 13 from free safety or strong safety. Brent English. How about Sam Ramsey, and then Parker Warmack. Xavier Griffin with 13. That's your double-digit guys. There's a lot of guys in that Big 12 with double-digit tackle for losses. Tongues 47 for Belugi, 43. Then you're looking at Shannon Bethel for USC with 37 tackle for losses. Matt Miles, Oregon with 35. How about Jason Davenport, middle linebacker for Oregon with 31. Taj Jerry, D tackle, 29 for USC. Brandon Ali, right end for Oregon, 28. Clarence Cox, the corner with 22. And then George Esponda, 20 as well. Benjamin Regis, another defensive end with 20. They rotating their D ends and they getting to it. Ty Yazzie, 19, and then you're looking at Joey Genesee with 19 as well. And you continue to go down, you see his USC going crazy. Rutgers is there. Richard Godzilla, another D tackle, 15. Start to go down the board to see what's going on. How about Patrick Stingley, the middle linebacker, with 14 of them things as well. You slide to the SEC and look at the tackle for losses. 39 from Ramsey, Manuel, and Crosby. Looks like Kiki Moffitt with 29. Tommy Horner, 28, Georgia. You look at Marcus Sandy, Kentucky with 26. Bola Ajaya, 22. Raji for Tamote Raji with 22 as well. For Texas, left end John Scruggs, 21. Nick Long, Alabama, 20. And then James Ballamori, 20 as well. Start to go down a little something. See Steve Witherspoon, 18. Jeremiah Harris, 17. And that's just Frank Kafka on down. Let's stay here and look at sacks. Horner with 23 sacks on the year. Jadarius Ramsey, 21 and a half. How about Matt Crosby with 19.5, Moffitt with 18.5. You start looking at Alex Toppins, Texas A&M, Frank Kafka, 13, Trimble, Oregon, 12, Marcus Sandys, 12, Doug Boutet, 11.5 for Larry Puta, and then Bola Aji, 11. You start looking at 10.5, 10.5 Jermaine McNabb, 10.5 Alex Amorador, and then Ryan Johnson rounds off your double-digit sack guys. Come back to the Big Ten, and you're looking at 26.5 sacks from Tongues, 25 from his classmate. Middle linebacker Miles with 19, Cox off the edge as a corner with 14.5 sacks. Channing Bethel for USC, 14.5. Tiffin, Michigan, 13.5, 12. Taj Jerry with 12.5 at D tackle. That's nasty. Jason Davenport, middle linebacker with 12. How about Ty Yadzi as well with 12. Brandon Ali, 12. Neighbors, Michigan with 11. Warmack for Illinois, and then Tyler Hamburger rounds off your double-digit sack guys. Back up that list, you start looking at 23 from Maru. How about Kristen Hudson with 22, London Merritt with 21. Then is Brian Fowler, the offensive linebacker with 13.5. You're looking at Barn Bull, didn't follow his coach to USC, 13 of them things. Eric Fleming for Houston, 11.5 from Houston as well. 10.5 Javier Jameson, 10 for Darren Becquetti, Evan York, 10, and then Stefan Schott with 10 of them. Shout out every can and that boy balling. ACC, Emil with 22. Tyler Akbar, Colorado. Turk McBride, 13.5. You're looking at Donnell Bober in NC State. And Sean Cook is 13. Antonio Pounds, Pittsburgh. Sean Johns, 13 of them things. About Niles Baggs, Florida State, 12.5. Kane Boyette, Stanford. Terrell Pope, 10. And Addison Pritchard, SMU with 10. Spencer Kruger at cornerback with 10 INTs on the year. How about Antoine Perez for Syracuse with 8? Joel Zachy G. I'm just going to call him Zach, though. That J got to be silent. Benji Sheed, cornerback with 7. You're looking at Daryl Denson, cornerback with 6 from the slot. Antoine Damania, cornerback for the Clemson Tigers with 6. How about Devon Gorey, David Gorey's brother, 5 interceptions. And then you're looking at James Emerson for Notre Dame with 5. We talk about all the 5. Sitter, Notre Dame, and Lamont Mechie, Boston College. 10 interceptions from NOBB. And middle linebacker Clark Kent, when he turns to Superman, got you 9 of them things. How about Dom Coker, Florida Gators with 8, and Mo Hayden, Florida Gators with 8. Brent English with 8 picks for Colorado. Stay Robbins, 7 interceptions for Florida. Dallas Sanders, the young freshman corner, they were 2 of the fastest guys to come out of the draft, right? You look at C.J. Sadler Jr., ran a 4.24, and Dallas Sanders, who ran a 4.27. Darian Block, 6. Buck James, the 5-star linebacker, 6. Lewis Choice, cornerback with 5. Looking at George Butt, safety with 5. And then Dorian Barney with 5 INTs, along with Dale Messer for Arizona with the INTs. Stats, how you get them? How many touchdowns guys got all year? Mo took 3 back to the crib. Tyler Atkins, 2. Dorian Barney, 2. Dallas Sanders, 2. Stay Robin, 2. Clark Kent, 2. And Nathaniel Boateng, 2. Let's look at the ACC touchdowns. Devon Gorey, 2. Joe Zakel. Bradley Lowe. Get to the Big Ten. 3 for Moses Capps, 2 for Rodney Power. And then the SEC touchdown makers. 3 for Errol Wilbur. 3 for Stanley Humphries. 2 for Deion Cook. Jeffrey Turay. Keenan Renfro, back to Alabama, and then you're looking at Arkansas. That's your stats. That's the game. That's what's going on. These conference championship games will be played as we advance. With that being said, we'll holler at you on the next show.